Hey, want to thank everybody for helping me get to that 25 subscriber. We're a little bit past that now. The goal that we got right now is I want to see 15 Dark Brandon Rises in the comments. And as soon as that happens, I will go ahead and make a new one of these splash screens, and I will go from there. Dark Brandon Rises is the hashtag that started after Biden gave the speech that pissed off all the Republicans. Actually, a pro-Biden hashtag, and the topic that we're gonna do, I don't know. I might be a little just. These are my thoughts. I'm not anybody important, but I want to talk about Putin's threat. That's what we're gonna talk about. Let's go ahead and get it queued up. I am not going to give him any airtime. I'm just going to have the video. Putin has done this before, where he's threatened to use his nuclear weapons. He's also bombed Chernobyl. He's bombed and shot up another nuclear factory. I mean, there is a real risk that we could have nuclear fallout just from Putin being an idiot. And this is what bothers me when you look at these world. I'm not a world leader. I'm not anybody important. I'm not anybody overly educated. But that just seems like a bad idea. And I've said this for a while. I've tweeted multiple countries. It's their Twitter. I know it ain't the leaders seeing it. If I'm lucky, maybe a staffer is seeing it and maybe passing it on or mentioning it. But the countries that suffered under Hitler in World War II, I sincerely think that they should feel shame, especially Israel. This is the country that always said never again, never again. Well, bullshit. They're letting it happen. They're absolutely letting it happen. Shame on all of them. But what I want to get at, hang on, I gotta find it here. Okay, I'm just gonna let this run. Some of my longer videos have done okay, and I hope this won't take that long. I might edit it out, but let's just go from here.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. Upon receiving the first preliminary hard information of this nature, last Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I directed that our surveillance be stepped up. And having now confirmed and completed our evaluation of the evidence and our decision on a course of action, this government feels obliged to report this new crisis to you in fullest detail. The characteristic of these new missile sites indicate two distinct types of installations. Several of them include medium-range ballistic missiles capable of carrying a nuclear warhead for a distance of more than 1,000 nautical miles. Each of these missiles, in short, is capable of striking Washington, D.C., the Panama Canal, Cape Canaveral, Mexico City, or any other city in the southeastern part of the United States, in Central America, or in the Caribbean area. Additional sites not yet completed appear to be designed for intermediate range ballistic missiles, capable of traveling more than twice as far, and thus capable of striking most of the major cities in the Western Hemisphere. Weapons.
I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead to the one part I was looking for, but I wanted to give that lead up to it.
If our courage and our commitments are ever to be trusted again by either friend or foe, the 1930s taught us a clear lesson. Aggressive conduct, if allowed to go unchecked and unchallenged, ultimately leads to war.
That line right there. If our courage is ever to be trusted by allies and enemy alike. And then he talks about the 1930s. He's speaking of the lessons of World War II. He's speaking of the lessons of Hitler's unchecked aggression and now Putin's unchecked aggression.
Our policy has been one of patience and restraint, as befits a peaceful and powerful nation which leads a worldwide alliance. We have been determined not to be diverted from our central concerns by mere irritants and fanatics. But now further action is required, and it is underway, and these actions may only be the beginning. We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war, in which even the fruits of victory would be ashes in our mouth. But neither will we shrink from that risk at any time it must be faced. Acting, therefore, in the defense of our own security and of the entire Western Hemisphere, and under the authority entrusted to me by the Constitution, as endorsed by the resolution of the Congress, I have directed that the following initial steps be taken immediately. First, to halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated. All ships of any kind bound for Cuba, from whatever nation or port, where they're found to contain cargoes of offensive weapons, be turned back. This quarantine will be extended, if needed, to other types of cargo and carriers. We are not at this time, however, denying the necessities of life, as the Soviets attempted to do in their Berlin blockade of 1948.
Here's the one I've been thinking about all day. I'm going to go ahead and cue it up now.
Third, it shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
This is the one that's been bothering me, because this is not like what just happened the last few days. This is not the first time that Putin has done this. And it sounds like even people that are not really on our side, like China, it sounds like they may have talked to him. And it isn't doing any good. And I honestly wish, and I like Biden, I think he's doing a good job, but I think he is a fine president for peacetime. I think he's a fine president for times where things are normal. But when you look at the inaction of the DOJ on certain things, or the slow action, or the way it looks like they're finally reacting, instead of, picking up the Secret Service phones and the DHS phones and other stuff, the minute he got into office, Merrick Garland just stood by and waited till they deleted the phones and everything else. And it really looks like some of the action that he's taken has only been because January 6th committee is going to make embarrass him by coming forward on it. I really wish the president would come out and have his JFK speech. Basically channel JFK, channel Harry Truman, and actually go after this. I mean, he should come out and let Putin know with his threat that if he unleashes a nuclear or radiological attack anywhere in Europe, including Ukraine, that it will be considered an attack on the United States. And then he should quit talking to Putin. He should start talking to the leaderships. He should talk to the people and go, hey, if this happens, your country will end. Regardless of what happens to anybody else, your country will perish. Anybody you know will be gone. This is what's going to happen. And let them know that if you share our concern that Putin is unhinged, you need to remove him now. You need to remove him. You need to remove the leadership of Russia and turn them over with evidence so they can be convicted of war crimes and either executed or put away for life. One or the other. And I think he should do that. He should be talking to our allies. I think some of them will be on board. And if not, maybe you can convince them if they don't think we're on board. And what they should do is they should announce that any Russian military equipment, because of this threat, because of this real threat by an unhinged leader, that any military equipment outside of Russia will be considered hostile and will be neutralized to prevent the upcoming Russian attack. And that would mean subs, that would mean surface ships, that would mean airplanes. And then they should let him know that we're, the long range weapons, he's got, just a couple days, maybe a week to like stop this, or the allies will rise up and they will put him down the same way we put Hitler down. And, if he starts using nukes, that basically terminates Russia as a country. And I think he can get the allies on board. I know Ukraine, hell, if you just give them the long range equipment, tell them they can start taking out military sites and military ports and air bases in Russia, they will do it. And this will send a message to Russia, Pakistan, North Korea, and anybody else, even the Arab states. Yeah, it isn't going to do any good to get any nukes. It isn't going to do any good to threaten us, because you're just not going to be allowed to act like Putin. They should have done this a while ago. It doesn't look like there's any way this is going to end good. They need to get out there and end it quickly. And Mr. President, if you or one of your staffers sees this, because I'm going to tag you in it, I beg you to look for some kind of an inspiration from JFK, because, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I just have to hope that, like Sting's song, that the Russians love their kids too. And that all you need to do is raise up the allies. And you'll either be able to beat them with conventional means, or maybe, hopefully, Russia will remove this dictator. Russia will try to make this right. It's all we can hope for. Okay, go ahead and leave your comments down below. And I just want to say the action on the channel, it's been a little overwhelming. It's been great. I really want to thank everybody that pitches in. Like, share, and subscribe. And like, again, if I see 15 Dark Brandon rises, I'll pick a new goal. I'll make a new screen. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a great day.